How you doing, guys? The name is Mike. This is a kickoff to a potential serious channel, but we'll see where it goes. I mix, I engineer. I am an avid synthesist, if you want to call it that. And I'm here to do a comparison between two tubes, and we're gonna see the difference. We're gonna hear it together. So the Mullard 6AQ5 is a NOS tube, aka new old stock, and not quotes as in like a bad thing, but it's actually a very good thing that it's a NOS tube. NOS tubes are old school designs. Essentially, they use more expensive parts. As a result, it was high quality tubes. And this is the RCA tube. This is a NOS tube to my knowledge. The guy I got it from is a guy out of a garage. He definitely stressed the fact that he doesn't like to deal with tubes that are from the new times. A, because modern Telefunken tubes, which are the sought after tubes in the old days, are now marketing themselves as Telefunkens when they're really JJs. And you know, a JJ tube can run you maybe like $12 to $20, you know? I'm not gonna act like I know what I'm talking about, but I will definitely say that it's scammery, and these people should be run off to prison and perhaps put on death row for this. Anyways, so going forward, we're going to trial them both out and see how they sound. Alright, so given the info we have, the RCA is a $10 tube, right? That's how much I paid for this. And then you got the Mullard, that's a $90 tube. Now, from listening to this, RCA is literally, I'm getting a more warmth texture to it. I'm like the sound of the vocal is like tickling my ear, versus the Mullard that it's sounding brittle. And I don't know what the function of the 6AQ5's, I don't know what its function is in the Comp2a, but from my ears, I'm assuming it has something to do with the output stage, or it's involved in the signal at some point, because I'm noticing a huge difference in clipping characteristics, and that clipping characteristic usually happens after the input. Now granted, after doubling down and listening to it for a second time, I can say I was being a little too aggressive against the Mullard. The Mullard does definitely have an airy saturation, a saturation probably in the upper maybe 2 to 4K-ish type area, but it's really hard to tell because it's very round sounding. They both are very round sounding. I will definitely say that the RCA feels like the saturation is peaking around like the low mids. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? That's entirely up to you. I tend to like my sounds warm. I'm not using this unit for brightness, you know? If I wanted brightness, I would use a digital unit, something crunchy, something kind of like with a bright type timbre, you know? But listen, to each his own, you know? At the end of the day, I feel like the RCA definitely has a more low-end saturation characteristic type, where it's almost tickling the ear. And you have the Mullard, which is definitely, it's got a high-end type, more higher-end, less build up in the low mids. And I know a lot of the complaints with this compressor is that it builds up in the low mids. And frankly, I could probably agree with that. I could definitely agree with that. I was making a track where I was, with these tubes, constantly pulling from those low mids. You know, like in certain instruments, because I ran a lot of instruments through this unit. And all those instruments I ran through tended to have a low mid buildup. But at the end of the day, I mean, it came down to realize, I mean, how many things do you need to use this unit on in the first place? You know, like, and plus, low mid buildup is a good thing sometimes. Well, the majority of the time, but you don't want build up. You know, it's always good to have the low mids than to not have them at all. Otherwise, your track is wimpy, you know, and it starts to sound like it's got no biceps or something like that, you know. So I'd probably rather have more low mid buildup, subtract it, than to have none at all and then try to make a sound that it's not. Now you could say that in reverse. You could say that either way you want. I guess I would rather have, you know, it's kind of like a summer and winter thing, you know. I'd rather it be colder outside than really hot because you could always layer up, you know. It's just how I see it. If you're not trying to spend lots of money on a tube, RCA is not going to do you wrong. Now, if you have more money to spend and you're crazy like me, get the Mullard. You just got to make sure it's real and should be good to go. Both of these tubes, they're staying with me. I'm going to keep them. I like them both, but I'm definitely more of a fan of the RCA, but hey, that may change. So I'm keeping them both, and thanks for watching, guys.